hopefully everyone can see that. Just to reiterate, a big thank you from myself and Welsh Athletics for everyone taking the time today to join us. This is the next part of our Unite conference series. Another session takes place tomorrow with the run leaders, and it's fantastic to see yet another significant amount of engagement from the Welsh Athletics membership. I think it would be wrong if I didn't start my presentation by reflecting on what has been a truly unprecedented year for all of us, but obviously from an athletics perspective and from a Welsh athletics perspective, quite an incredible challenge that we've all faced, and one that I have to say the sport has taken on and has overcome in many aspects. I think every single one of us has had to adapt the way we operate, the way we communicate with one another, the way we deliver our sessions, the way we engage with our members and with our athletes. And I think every single person within the Welsh athletics community has really kind of stepped up and if anything, has taken things to a whole new level. We've obviously had to deliver the sport in a very different way. So coach education's been done through a blended learning approach. Traditional competitions have sadly not necessarily taken place in the way that we would like, and we've had to embrace more virtual events. And it's been brilliant to see not only the virtual events that Welsh Athletics have delivered, but also clubs being so creative in staging their own virtual events to continue to engage and to ensure that their members stay very much part of the club. And I think Welsh Athletics right at the start of this whole COVID challenge prioritised safety, and it's been delighted for me really to see that the clubs have really taken this and taken it to a whole new level. And throughout the whole 12 months, we've been very much led by the feedback and the guidance that our clubs and our members and our coaches and our officials have given us on the way they want to see the sport operate. And I think above all else, the whole community has prioritised the safety of not just those who take part of the sport, but those who engage with members of our community as well. That being said, despite all the challenges, I want to also reflect on some of the incredible successes that we've seen over the last 12 months. And, as an organisation, we've really kind of strived on what we can do as opposed to what we can't. And I think the membership has really taken that on and really kind of driven it forward. And as a result of not just the work we've done, but the feedback and the engagement and the way that the clubs and the members and the coaches have responded, we were the first sport to get our elite athletes back on track. We were the first sport to restart coach and officials education, and the team have done a fantastic job of moving everything towards a blended learning approach, and that's enabled a number of coaches to start their journey within the coach education side. And at the end of last summer, we were the first sport to restart competition. Fast forward into early part of 2021, and we were the first sport to restart elite competition. And to date, only 2 sports have delivered elite competitions, ourselves and swimming. But we are the first ones, and we've delivered a number of elite level competitions. We were challenged right at the start about how we're going to continue to ensure that our members feel informed and feel engaged, and how do we continue the development of our sport and the development of the people who lead our sport. And I'm delighted that the staff have really kind of taken this and I've been very, very creative in the way that we've moved this forward. And as we stand here today, way over 100 webinars have been delivered by various departments within Welsh Athletics, and the level of engagement has been truly unprecedented. And probably when we set off on our strategy, we really put digital transformation at the heart of our strategic intent. But I think that the 7-year ambition that we set out has probably been achieved in many aspects during this period. And I think throughout this entire period, my challenge to the staff was to ensure that every single member of our community felt engaged, felt informed, felt part of the decision-making process. The staff have taken that on board, and we have delivered a number of kind of engagement sessions, the Ask Us sessions, which has enabled us to shape our response back to the membership. And I continue to thank each and every member of Welsh Athletics who's engaged with us on that side. Now, just before the COVID really took hold of us all and took hold of the sport, Welsh Athletics at the Clubs and Coaches Conference back in the autumn of 2019 launched its brand new strategy. And that was the strategy which was pulled together on the back of a significant amount of member consultation, and it very much, we hoped, was a strategy by the sport for the sport. And albeit in 2020, we've had to almost slim down our ambitions in relation to the delivery of this strategy, I very much hope that as we tick towards the easing of restrictions and 2021 hopefully leads to more reopening of the sport, that we as a sport can move back to the delivery and the aspirations set out within the strategy that Welsh Athletics launched. And I think it's vitally important, especially around today's theme, that we also centre around what is the vision that Welsh Athletics and Athletics in Wales hopes to achieve by the end of the 7-year strategic document. And it's very much around trying to develop a world-class development programme. I think in the past, Welsh Athletics maybe has been guilty of trying to wrap as much support as they possibly can around athletes once they've performed at a certain level, without really understanding the journey that those athletes have gone through. More importantly, I think we haven't done enough to understand how we can develop our coaches and how we can support our coaches so that we don't just have 1 or 2 athletes come through. It becomes a bit of a conveyor belt where talent is supported, coaches feel supported, and together we can grow the performance and the talent base across Wales. So that's our ambition, and we've made a number of internal changes within our structures to underpin this intent. I think as part of that, and I am determined over the next 12 months to get the whole sport back towards focusing on the areas that we've set out for within the strategy. And I wanted to just very quickly kind of highlight a couple of key areas that as a sport we want to identify and move forward. Of course, we want to see membership growing. Of course, we want to see more people come into our sport. But what we also have to ensure is those people who are already part of our sport stay in our sport. And that's about us being more focused around specific demographics and specific age groups, and ensuring that those who come into our sport can develop long-term within our sport and stay within our sport. As part of that, we've made a big focus around safeguarding and inclusion, and a number of changes have come into effect from 1st of April in the way that our clubs will operate to ensure that we have the safest and the most inclusive sport across Wales. I mentioned our vision that Welsh Athletics has signed up to, and as part of that, developing excellence over the long term is a fundamental part. So long-term athlete development and long-term coach development and volunteer development is at the heart of everything we will do going forward. Part of that, we will recognise the contribution that so many passionate volunteers have given to the sport across Wales for so many years. And of course, we want to continue bringing a more diverse membership towards the sport, not just in those who are performing, but also a more diverse coaching infrastructure, more diverse club officer structure, volunteer structure, official structure. And one of the sessions today will be led by Hannah Pretty around physical literacy. That remains a key fundamental part of our long-term strategy. We've just launched a new physical literacy initiative called Starting Blocks, and that hopefully will lead us towards engaging a much younger audience into the sport who can develop the core fundamental movement skills that hopefully will lead to a more robust and a more skilled membership as they enter the club structure. And of course, we will continue to engage and support the Welsh school structure and support the school district programme. And we've set out very ambitious targets to get 100% of schools engaged in athletics or running over the next 7 years. I mentioned the physical literacy offer. We are going to be moving forward with some changes and evolution within our competition structure, and everything hopefully in time will be aligned to that long-term athlete development programme. So if through coach education and coach development we'll be advocating a multidisciplinary approach, it's vital that our competition structure reinforces and supports that. At the same time, as we look towards retention, we want to ensure that the competition model that we have is in tune with the desires of our membership. So those individuals who maybe want a shorter, more kind of succinct event-specific format, we need to ensure that that is available to them alongside the traditional kind of club and league model that's been so successful over the years. And wrapping around all of that is the environments that we want to develop, and that's the club infrastructure, but also the facility infrastructure that we have. And Welsh Athletics has been working very closely with Sport Wales and a number of facility providers investing directly into those facilities to ensure that we create the right environment that enables athletes to enjoy their sport and coaches and volunteers to have the right environments to learn, to share, and to develop. I mentioned some of the changes we've made to our staffing structure that is in line with the new vision for the organisation, and of course the staffing structure which is charged with delivering the strategic objectives. And one of the key things that we're trying to move towards is very much a one-team approach. We are hopefully moving away from departments working in silo. Every department now must rely on one another in order to achieve its objectives. And just within the performance team and some of the changes that we've made to that team over the last 4 years, and some of the areas that we want to move more towards. So I think in the past, our performance team has very much been focused around taking those athletes who have achieved a certain performance criteria and trying to ensure that they continue their development. The work is now very much focused on much further down the so-called performance pathway to ensure that we have robust structures that enable more coaches and more athletes to understand how they can develop and the support that we will give them to develop. And also to understand that not every event group is in the same place. So we may have to take a much longer term approach with certain event groups, but I think as an organisation and as a staffing team, we're very aware of the needs to develop each event group at the right pace. And of course, one of the key changes we've made over the last few years was to employ Zoe Brown, who's leading our coach development process. Again, that's as a direct result of the feedback from our membership, a number of coaches who go through the first couple of tiers of coach education and then would very much be looking around and trying to find their own support networks to continue their development. That is now a key part of Zoe's role to develop the next range of development coaches, but also the next tranche of potential performance coaches within the sport of athletics in Wales. And as I said, it's a greater focus now around the development pathway, ensuring that the event groups can grow in the right speed, a greater focus around coach development, trying to ensure that our coaches feel supported, that we can create a mentoring system that enables coaches of all experiences to develop at their own speed, and to have a much greater interaction with the development team. The development team are charged with building robust environments, robust club structures, engaging with the school and volunteer community. But it's vitally important that the performance team and the development team work in tandem to ensure those event groups grow at the right pace. And of course, we want to continue that engagement within the coaching community. I mentioned the significant amount of webinars that we've delivered over the last 12 months, and it's been fantastic to see so many coaches engaging with those webinars. I very much hope that that continues to be a core part of our development process going forward. And of course, above all else, we need to ensure that we have the right culture within the sport in Wales, the right culture within the organisation, but the right culture that bleeds through every single thing we do. We have to get to a point where everyone understands the role that they play in developing the sport of athletics. And it's not just about winning, but it's about developing a process and a structure that ensures that everybody feels part of the success of the sport going forward. And that's going to be a big part. We're just at the start of that journey. And I very much hope in the weeks, months, and years ahead, we can continue to engage and get the views of our members about how we do create the right learning culture within the sport going forward. 2021 and into 2022, as an organisation and as a sport, we have to continue to rebuild. Delighted to say that yesterday we saw further easing of restrictions with the ability of under 18s to now return back to organised sport. That will hopefully lead to clubs being able to restart in earnest, with facilities beginning to open across Wales. And also in the last hour, we've just published our competition plans for the rest of the summer. And hopefully this will enable coaches and clubs to begin to plan for the summer ahead. And of course, we sincerely hope that this is the start of the easing of restrictions. And as the weeks and the months click by, we'll continue to publish more guidance and updated guidance, and continue to do all we can to ensure that the sport can get back to a new normal. I mentioned that focus on values and behaviours. That will be a continuous theme across everything we do, across the committee structure of Wales, and obviously within everything the staffing team do. And the key thing for us all, I think now, is to put the athlete at the centre of all the decision making that we have. Athletes have gone through a very challenging period of different ages and support networks maybe being withdrawn, it's vitally important that we understand what our athletes and what our members want from us at all age groups, and we put in place a robust offer for them. As an organisation, we have committed to investing into technology. A lot of this will enable competitions to restart in a COVID-secure way. But again, we want to ensure that the members feel that if they have new ideas that they want to put forward, that technology can support that we are there ready to listen and hopefully ready to invest to support new initiatives. And that last but one line there, to be innovative as a sport and as an organisation. I very much hope and I very much want the Welsh athletics community to try new things over this next period, and to do so with the ability to sometimes not be afraid to fail at what they do. I think failure sometimes is a really good thing. We can learn from it and we can continue to develop. So that's my key desire for everyone within this sport. Let's be as innovative as we possibly can. We've seen a huge amount of that over the last 12 months. Let's continue to be innovative to keep the sport moving forward. And as an organisation, keep talking to us, keep telling us the emerging challenges. We will respond and do everything we can to support you all as the sport restarts. And I mentioned yesterday the Welsh Government publishing updated guidance. We anticipate at the next 3-week review that further unlocking of restrictions will come through, and hopefully some easing which will enable over 18s or seniors to be able to restart and back to the 30 number that was in place during the summer. And that will hopefully enable some of those off-track clubs and some of the senior age groups within our sport to restart. And as part of that, you know, my message to all the clubs and all the communities is to start getting ready for the restart of the sport. Clubs are being challenged to get their COVID officers in place. Coaches and clubs will have to redo and update risk assessments. If you haven't updated or renewed your license, now's the time to do that. Let's do all the things we need to do in order to get our sport back. And as I mentioned, updated guidance released yesterday. We'll continue to update that in the weeks ahead. And just this week, we had a very good Ask Us session. We'll continue to have every 3 weeks an opportunity for members to come on. We'll talk through the latest changes from Welsh Government, talk a little bit about the updated guidance, and an opportunity for anybody to come on and ask any kind of burning questions or to raise any emerging risks, and we in turn will use that as part of our next stage of support. That's it for me, a very quick whistle-stop tour of the last 12 months, and hopefully an opportunity for us all to start looking ahead. Once again, I just wanted to say a big thank you on